Right now on Morning News Now, a fierce fight intensifying in Gaza this morning. Israel increasing its attacks by air and land, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu refusing to back down.
Calls for a ceasefire are calls for Israel to surrender to Hamas, to surrender to terrorism, to surrender to barbarism. That will not happen.
The war sparking protests from the Middle East and across the U.S., prompting a new plan by the White House to fight anti-Semitism and Islamophobia on college campuses. We have team coverage. Also this morning, auto workers and Detroit's Big Three near the finish line after a crippling weeks-long strike. We'll break down the deal, plus what happens next and why you could see the impact at the dealership soon. Plus, feeling lonely? Well, researchers say you are far from alone. We'll share the findings from an eye-opening new poll and what you can do if you're feeling isolated. And of course, it is Halloween, a spooky time of year for your teeth. We'll talk to a dentist and get some trick or treating tips. We'll keep everyone smiling.
Wah, wah. No, it's important. We'll talk about that.
Happy Halloween, though, by the way.
Sure. No, it's important. We'll talk about that.
Happy Halloween, though, by the way.
Sure,
Headline.
costumes we're wearing orange.
Yes. We'll get a little bit more fun later in the show.
Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We're going to begin this morning with the violence in Gaza, where Israel is heightening its ground and air attacks.
Overnight, the IDF launched a wave of airstrikes on all parts of the sealed-off region, while at the same time engaging Hamas militants on the ground. This video, released by the IDF, shows Israeli troops fighting inside Gaza. Hamas says it has been responding with machine guns and anti-tank missiles. It comes a day after Israel secured the release of a soldier held hostage by Hamas. Well, the group also released a video showing 3 women in captivity. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has dismissed calls for a ceasefire after UN aid organizations pleaded with the Security Council at an emergency meeting yesterday to do more to end the hostilities.
The current siege imposed on Gaza is collective punishment. 2 weeks of full siege followed by the trickle of aid last week mean that basic services are crumbling. Medicine is running out. Food and water are running out. Fuel is running out. A further breakdown in civil order will make it extremely difficult, if not impossible, for the largest UN agency in Gaza to continue operating.
We, of course, have a team standing by on this story. We're going to start with NBC News foreign correspondent Kelly Kobayea, who joins us from Eilat, Israel.
So, Kelly, what is the latest on Israel's ground and air attacks on Gaza this morning?
Well, Joe and Savannah, the IDF, the Israeli military, reports engaging in fierce battles with Hamas militants deep inside the Gaza Strip. They say that they struck some 300 targets just in the past 24 hours, saying those targets included command centers inside tunnels. They also claim to have killed a top Hamas commander who they say was involved, very much involved in planning that October 7th attack. The IDF also said that some Hamas fighters have barricaded themselves inside buildings in Gaza, and they are engaging with those militants as well. And there are reports of tanks on the outskirts of Gaza by a freelance photographer, for example, who believes that he saw a tank firing on a vehicle on a street on the outskirts of Gaza. And not only in Gaza overnight, Joe and Savannah, there was also activity on that northern border with Lebanon. The IDF said that they struck Hezbollah targets in the north, airstrikes, fighter jets carrying out strikes on targets in the north as well. Savannah, Joe?
Hey, Kelly, if we could talk a little bit now about these calls for a ceasefire. Just moments ago, we heard from a UN official warning about the devastation, saying that that was necessary from Israel. We have heard that that cannot happen. Of course, this back and forth comes with the backdrop of this unfolding humanitarian crisis. Where are we at in terms of calls for a ceasefire and also for more aid to get in?
Yeah, calls for a ceasefire from a number of countries, but that is falling on deaf ears here in Israel anyway. Prime Minister Netanyahu flatly rejecting it, saying a ceasefire is akin to surrender in the eyes of Israel, and it's just not going to happen. There have been, reports from senior U.S. officials, John Kirby, saying that the U.S. is talking to Israel about getting more humanitarian aid in, about getting more trucks inside Gaza. So far, we're talking about a number just over 100 in terms of the number of aid trucks that have gotten in since all of this started. And it simply isn't enough, the UN says. They need, before the war, some 500 trucks, according to one UN official, were getting in every day to accommodate the needs of the people inside Gaza. And now we're talking about just over 100 over the course of more than 3 weeks. The UN official who you heard from at the top of this segment, who's in charge of UNRWA, which is the UN agency which helps Palestinian refugees, said that at this point, this is a matter of life and death for millions. The UN now calling for another border crossing to be opened. It's a crossing in the south with the border between Gaza and Egypt, but it's east of that Rafah border crossing, and it's primarily used to ship goods in normal times. We simply don't know if Israel will be willing to agree to allow large volumes of trucks to enter into Gaza through a different crossing, but that is now being floated. Savannah, Joe.
Kelly, let's talk specifically about where you are right now. We understand there were reports of a drone shot down there earlier. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so we're in Eilat in the south, which is basically a resort town in normal times. It's now become an evacuation center for a lot of communities in the south. So in those kibbutzim and the other communities that were evacuated after the October 7th attacks. There are tens of thousands of people here from those communities in the south. Survivors who have friends and family who are kidnapped. They have friends and family and neighbors who they are still burying, who are still being identified. And they're in a lot of these hotels. Earlier this morning, there was an alarm, a warning siren, and the alert was for some sort of aircraft. And what we have subsequently learned is that the IDF believes that this was some sort of drone, not clear where it was sent from, but the IDF says that it was shot down before it reached Israeli borders. We do know that about 12 days ago, there were a number of drones, we don't know how many, sent allegedly from Yemen toward Israel, those shot down by a U.S. Navy destroyer. So it is something that has happened before, but this is not a common occurrence here. It's not often that sirens sound here, and it's certainly not often that we get that kind of alert saying, take cover. There's a possible unidentified aircraft heading toward Israeli airspace.
Right. Kelly, before we let you go, let's talk about the hostage situation. We know Israel says they were able to free the soldier during ground operations last night. What's the latest here?
Yeah, so the IDF is now saying that 240 people are being held hostage. That is one more than they had said even last night. And they continue to receive intelligence and update those numbers as they are able to confirm that people who have been missing for these more than 3 weeks are actually held hostage. So that number now stands at 240. When that soldier, when news of that soldier's release arrived in these hotels and other places where families are waiting for word from their loved ones, there was a huge amount of relief, of sort of momentary joy, of hope that perhaps their loved one will be next. There still is a lot of hope in a lot of these communities that more people will be released or will be rescued. And we also know that a video came out around the same time, released by Hamas. We're not showing it. We're not playing the audio because it appears as though the women in the video were under duress while making the statement. But once again, those three women are people whose loved ones now have a sign of life. They have a bit of consolation, I guess. Maybe that's not the right word, but hope maybe that their relatives at least are alive and are able to communicate, and there may still be hope for them. A lot of people, have really mixed feelings about this ground operation. They, on one level, think, well, maybe this is the best way and their loved ones will be rescued, as that soldier was. On the other hand, they're worried about their safety.
All right, Kelly, thank you so much. Appreciate your reporting this morning. Hundreds of day laborers from the Gaza Strip have been left stranded in the occupied West Bank. That's because their work permits were suddenly revoked by Israel after October 7th, immediately after the Hamas attacks. Now, with Gaza sealed off, many are anxious to return home and have no idea if their loved ones are still alive. NBC's Hala Gorani has that story.
Hundreds of men stranded, sleeping where they can in what was once a sports center. Day laborers from Gaza now stuck in Ramallah in the West Bank, dozens of miles away from home. Mostly construction workers. Rights groups say their permits to be in Israel were suddenly revoked after Hamas's bloody October 7th attacks. With Gaza now sealed off, the men are struggling to communicate with their families. Their wives, children, and parents are now facing displacement and destruction alone.
This is my wife.
We meet Nael at the center.
Where's your family?
Now?
Yeah.
I don't know.
In Gaza?
In Gaza, but I don't know. In Gaza where? I don't know.
Have you been able to talk to them on the phone?
No connection, no information.
Nael says he hasn't heard from his wife and 4 children.
I don't know my family leaving or not leaving. I don't know.
You don't know if they're alive or
I don't
if they're not alive?
Yes, I don't know.
Rights groups say around 18,500 Gazans had permits to work in Israel before the war. Now considered illegal aliens, many have gone missing. Hundreds have ended up here in this Palestinian Authority facility aided by volunteers. There's little left for them to do other than constantly check for news from home. We want to die with our families, our children, this man says. While they're dying in Gaza, we're here eating and drinking. We want to go back. But with communications patchy or non-existent, the lack of information is agonizing. Pictures on their phone are sometimes the only connection to home. Day laborer Fathi proudly shows me a photo of one of his sons graduating.
This is the one who's an engineer.
Yes, engineer.
And he's now in Gaza.
This is number 5 from my sons.
Number 5 of
Yes,
9.
nice.
Where was this?
Islamia University. Now destroy university.
So this is one of the young men. You don't know how he's doing.
I don't know about him anything.
Some have been here almost 3 weeks, drying clothes on sports equipment, sleeping on concrete bleachers, and passing the time any way they can. For some, all that's left to do is pray.
Our thanks to Hala Gorani for that report.
Well, the war between Israel and Hamas has sparked a rise in both anti-Semitism and Islamophobia in the U.S. and around the world. NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez reports on the rise of hate and what the Biden administration is doing about it.
The U.S. is condemning this pro-Palestinian mob that stormed an airport in Russia looking for Jews. Hundreds of men, some carrying banners with anti-Semitic slogans, rushed onto the tarmac, searching for Israeli passengers. Around the world, demonstrations calling for a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war. In Pakistan, some protesters burned Israeli and American flags.
How concerned is the White House that these demonstrations will spiral out of control?
No, we believe in the right of peaceful protest. Nobody wants to see peaceful protest turn violent or turn dangerous.
In the U.S., the Biden administration is announcing new steps to fight anti-Semitism and Islamophobia on college campuses, including federal agencies improving coordination between campus law enforcement and state and local counterparts. At Columbia University,
there are Jewish students who do not feel physically safe on campus.
At Cornell, police are guarding the Center for Jewish Living after the university says a series of horrendous anti-Semitic messages threatening violence were posted online. Junior Molly Goldstein is the center's president.
What's the sense of fear like on campus right now?
I would say all students are
absolutely terrified. People don't know what to do with themselves and whether they should stay or leave campus.
The Anti-Defamation League reports since the war began, anti-Semitic incidents in the U.S. are up nearly 400% from the same period last year. As the man accused of stabbing a 6-year-old Palestinian-American boy to death near Chicago pleaded not guilty, Muslim leaders are reporting an uptick in Islamophobia nationwide, with the Council on American Islamic Relations citing nearly 800 complaints this month. Incidents like this one at American University, where a Palestinian IT specialist says someone slid a note under his door threatening, "Go back to where you came from. You might get lucky with a missile and meet your Allah sooner."
This whole eerie feeling just took over. My heart sank.
As the White House tries to get a grip on rising displays of hate, the Justice Department just announced charges against a Nevada man who's now accused of threatening to exterminate a U.S. senator for supporting Israel. Back to you.
All right, Gabe Gutierrez, thank you very much.
Over on Capitol Hill, newly elected House Speaker Mike Johnson has a very full plate on this, his first full week on the job.
That's right. Johnson announced Monday he is breaking with the White House and the Senate by having the House take up aid to Israel as a standalone measure and not tying it to any additional aid for Ukraine.
NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitale joins us now with the latest from Washington. Ali, good morning. So we know that the new bill revealed by House Republicans includes more than $14 billion in emergency funding for Israel. What else can you tell us about this package, and what are we hearing from the White House?
Well, look, the bulk of this, Joe, is going towards increased military aid for Israel amid this ongoing crisis. And this was always what was going to be the first test for the newly minted speaker. It also highlights, though, the realities between House Republicans and Senate Republicans, especially as Johnson's strategy in moving forward on this Israel aid is in stark contrast to, of course, what the White House and Democrats have laid out. They wanted this Israel aid package to be combined with Ukraine aid package, an attempt to get potentially more House Republicans to go along with getting more aid to Ukraine while simultaneously getting that aid to Israel. That's also something that Senate Republican leadership, including Mitch McConnell, wanted to see. But by Speaker Johnson saying that he was decoupling these things, that's him showing his allegiance to his House Republican ranks and really jamming the Senate Republican.
So, Ali, if the bill passes the GOP-controlled House, my first question is, does it have any chance of passing the Senate with those Republican provisions? But then also, with this conflict raging in Israel, and of course what we still have is the backdrop of the war in Ukraine, is this the fight he wants to have newly in this role?
Yes, this is the fight that he is happy to have at this point. You got to remember that even though this is a very urgent time, we see crises on every front, especially on the geopolitical stage. This is still a House Republican conference that went through multiple overtures of absolute dysfunction and chaos to even pick the current speaker that they have sitting there with the gavel. They're not going to be bogged down, if you will, with the geopolitical urgency of this moment. Instead, you've got some on the House Republican side who are saying they want to make sure that they see funds in this Israel aid bill be offset or paid for. That's something that the current speaker says he's going to be able to do by clawing back some unused funds in the democratically passed inflation reduction package. You'll remember that from earlier in the last Congress. They say they're going to claw back some of the money from that to pay for this. That's got some Democrats in the House upset, people who would otherwise support aid to Israel saying, hey, wait a minute, that's not how we usually handle aid. Then on the Senate side of this building, you're right to point out that this decoupling of Ukraine and Israel aid is, yes, flying in the face of what some Senate Republican leadership wanted, but it's also going to make it very difficult for some of these other senators on the Democratic side who would otherwise support both of these aid packages, but they say that they need to use this moment as leverage to ensure that Ukraine does get the aid that it also needs. We're going to see that fight brewing. We've got at this point the House vote on this teed up for later in the week. It's going to go through a necessary committee on Wednesday. We'll see what boils over in the intervening days, but certainly this was or should have been easy. Now it's looking like it's going to be a thorny fight.
Real quickly, let's talk about the other side of the equation here, and that is the funding for Ukraine. What's Speaker Johnson saying about that?
Yeah. Well, look, he's in the middle of a real, frankly, mess within his conference No surprise there, given the dynamics that we've seen play out over the course of the year. But what we're watching him do by saying that he's going to decouple Israel and Ukraine funding, we're watching him say that he is fully aware of the realities within his House Republican conference and, frankly, the unease that a majority of his members have on sending continued aid to Ukraine. Again, this is a real stark contrast between the way that House Republicans, by and large, are thinking about the Ukraine aid issue and House Republicans are thinking about the Ukraine issue. This was always going to be a battle that they were going to face. And again, it puts him at direct odds with his, in theory, counterpart and otherwise partner on the Republican side in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, who has been a steadfast ally of sending more and continued aid to Ukraine. But because of Johnson and the realities within the House Republican side, we know that they're going to be at odds on that.
All right, Allie Vitale, a lot to cover this morning. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Allie. Well, it looks like the United Auto Workers Union has struck a deal with General Motors, which would bring an end to the union's unprecedented strike against the nation's big three automakers. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch has the details.
46 days after the United Auto Workers' historic strike began, the union and all of the big three are finally near the finish line.
Once again, we have won several astonishing victories.
The UAW announcing a tentative agreement with General Motors after reaching similar deals last week with Jeep owner Stellantis and with Ford. The UAW says all three offers include 25% base wage increases through April 2028, cost of living allowances, and better retirement benefits. Welcome news to workers like Will Prohaska, a husband and father who has been striking at Stellantis' parts distribution center outside Cleveland.
What was it like going the last month plus without your paycheck?
It was actually pretty horrid. I went to salvage shopping, which is like expired canned food, so that way we could save a little extra money.
He says a new contract, which still has to be ratified by union members like him, would mean he can finally make as much money as longtime workers. Now, roughly 50,000 striking members are returning to work. President Biden, who made history walking a UAW picket line, gave the thumbs up.
These record agreements reward auto workers who gave up much to keep the industry working and going during the financial crisis more than a decade ago.
But higher labor costs could mean higher sticker prices at the dealership.
There's no doubt that all of the automakers will be facing higher costs when it comes to building a vehicle, and they've got to figure out how to make that up at some point.
Those costs could benefit non-unionized automakers, but those companies' workers could also be enticed to join the UAW following these historic deals.
All right, Jesse Kirsch, thank you so much. Well, those contracts are expected to be voted on and approved by rank-and-file union members in the coming days.
As tributes pour in for actor Matthew Perry, for the first time we are hearing from his friends, co-stars. Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, Matt LeBlanc, and David Schwimmer released a joint statement. It reads in part, "We are all so utterly devastated by the loss of Matthew. We were more than just castmates. We are a family. There is so much to say, but right now we're going to take a moment to grieve and process this unfathomable loss."
Perry played Chandler Bing during the hit series' 10-year run, and he earned an Emmy nomination for his performance. Perry was found dead at his Los Angeles area home on Saturday. Autopsy results are pending a toxicology report. He was 54 years old.
All right, bundle up. We are expecting some spooky cold temps this Halloween. Let's get a closer look with your Halloween edition of the Morning News Now weather forecast.
That's right. This morning when I was hanging out, Angie, I think it was in the 40s earlier. Ooh, good morning.
I hope you brought your jacket, and I hope a lot of people are grabbing the jacket this morning, and even later today, you're going to need it too. We've got 115 million people under these alerts this morning. They include frost advisories, freeze watches, and freeze warnings. So heads up if you're headed out really across much of the country. We're dealing with these chilly conditions. Notice Minneapolis. It's 30 degrees for the actual temperature, but you add in those elevated winds, and you've got a wind chill in the teens. Chicago feeling like 23 degrees right now. Even Little Rock, you're feeling like the 20s as you get out the door this morning. So extra layers for sure as you go through the morning hours. And even in the afternoon hours, we don't get much better in some of these spots. Places like Detroit barely get into the 40s. We've got 57 in Birmingham. Corpus Christi will stay into the 50s through the afternoon hours today. And we keep this going kind of into tomorrow as well. well. We look ahead to the early morning hours of your November 1st, the start of your November, and we've got plenty of folks that could see some record lows for the early morning hours tomorrow. Places like Springfield, St. Louis, Fort Smith, all included in that, as well as Dallas for your early morning temperature as we get into the beginning of November. There's what those lows will look like. 30s for Dallas, upper 20s in Columbus, teens for Chicago. Once again, our afternoon temperatures will be about 10 to 20 degrees below where we should be for this time of year. But then by the end of the week and into the weekend, we start to kind of moderate things out. The 60s will return for Lexington, upper 60s for Raleigh by the time Saturday rolls around. And we'll go from the low 50s on Thursday in New York to the low 60s by Saturday. And of course, we save the best for last. Here's your trick-or-treat forecast. Chicago, unfortunately, you guys are going to contend with some snow showers. We'll see blustery conditions. It's the extra layers kind of trick-or-treating forecast. It could be in the top 5 of coldest Halloweens in Chicago. So we'll watch for that. Light drizzle in Cincinnati and some cold rain in Raleigh, unfortunately, with temperatures just in the 40s. But check out Orlando. Clear, warm, 80 degrees.
80.
Mainly clear in LA with a temperature of 75 and 53 for Houston.
Wow.
So unfortunately, the jacket needed there.
It's still hard to believe Saturday. It seems so long ago now when it was like so warm.
So weird. I like the chill. I know I always say that. But
you always like the opposite of what everyone else
knows. Oh my God. All right. Thanks, Angie. Welcome back. It was a tense day in court for FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried, who took the stand for his cross-examination in his federal fraud trial.
Prosecutors used exhibits of Bankman-Fried's own words, like public statements and online posts, to dispute some key moments of his testimony.
For more, let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas. Danny, good morning. So this is always sort of a gamble, right? The defendant taking the stand in their own trial, the defense putting him up there. How's he doing so far?
Poorly to really poorly, but this was to be expected. There are no surprises here. I could have told you before he took the stand 3 things that would have happened. Number 1, the prosecution would confront him with every word he's spoken in all of these ill-advised interviews over the past year. And number 2, the defendant would think that he would be able to explain everything away on the stand. This is very typical for white-collar type defendants. They often think, if I can just get in front of everyone, I'll explain everything away. And number 3, what was no surprise at all, is the paradox of here's a witness taking the stand to provide information, and that information is that he doesn't have information. Basically, we all knew it was going to be some variation of I don't know, I don't remember, that's not how I remember it. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened, because the only path to convincing a jury that he's not guilty is showing that he was so ignorant and so out of it and so not in control of his own business that he shouldn't be held criminally responsible.
So that strategy of ignorance, I don't remember, maybe blaming his colleagues, given all of the public pronouncements he's made and his social media posts about his lavish lifestyle, how effective or perhaps ineffective is that strategy?
Not effective. So that would lead someone to believe that the only reason you call your client in a situation like this is because it doesn't feel like the case is going well for the defense and they have to try anything. There are a couple other reasons. I mean, Sam Bankman-Fried has a constitutional right to take the stand. And like I said before, you'd be amazed how often, especially white-collar criminal defendants, believe that they know best, that they can explain everything away, that these lawyers don't know anything. I mean, after all, when you think about it, believing that they know how to do everything the right way is what landed them in this hot water in the first place, and they totally miss the irony there. So no surprise at all that Sam Bankman-Fried thinks he can explain it, but by explaining it, he means, I don't know, I don't remember, I don't recall, that's not the way I remember it. Doesn't look that good for a jury, to the jury.
Given what we are seeing in cross-examination, how do you think this impacts the defense's strategy from here? What might we see from them next?
I mean, the defense's strategy appears to have been basically that Sam Bankman-Fried was at the top of the company but didn't know enough because he delegated everything out. And so if the jury believes what he's saying, it's consistent with their theory, which is here's this guy, he's a figurehead, but he's basically, that's all he is. He's a symbolic figurehead. Look at the crazy hair, the cargo shorts. He's kind of our mascot, like the Philly Fanatic. That's who he is. He doesn't know anything. So that's their theory. Will it work? Highly unlikely.
Mascot. Danny, you crack me up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Danny. Let's get to some international headlines after that violent anti-Israel riot at an airport in Russia. Russia's President Vladimir Putin is blaming the West.
NBC News foreign correspondent Claudio Levanga joins us with the latest on that and other world headlines. Hey, Claudio, good morning.
Good morning, guys. That's right. Well, Vladimir Putin is not only blaming the West, but also Ukraine of being behind that anti-Israel riot at the airport of Dagestan, a Russian republic, a claim the U.S. has dismissed as absurd. Now, on Sunday, hundreds of people stormed the small airport ahead of a flight from Tel Aviv, waving Palestinian flags and chanting anti-Semitic slogans. Dagestan has a majority Muslim population, and it is believed the riot was sparked by anger over the conflict in Gaza. Eventually, local authorities brought the situation under control and arrested 60 people. Now let's go to Spain, where the former vice president of the country's soccer federation was banned for 3 years by the sport's global governing body. Luis Rubiales caused outrage after he kissed a Spanish player on the lips at the trophy ceremony after Spain won the World Cup in Australia at the end of August. Spanish prosecutors had formally accused Rubiales of sexual assault and coercion. He denies any wrongdoing, but was also ordered not to contact the player, Jenny Hermoso, who accused him to pressure her to speak out in his defense. And there is no Halloween without a vampire story. So here's a real one from Poland, where since the summer of 2022, a team of archaeologists have made an unsettling discovery: the burial of a young woman and a child thought to be vampires 400 years ago. The two were buried in unmarked graveyards on unconsecrated ground with a padlock on their feet. Experts say victims of disease, unbaptized children, and those who died under tragic circumstances were especially feared during that time, and back then they would have been buried with a padlock on their feet so they will not return back from the dead. Happy Halloween, guys.
Yeah, well, that was a perfect one for the day.
Exactly, Claudia. Thank you so much. Appreciate
it. Thank you. We're back now with an NBC News exclusive. A mother in Mississippi spent months searching for her missing son, only to learn he had been struck and killed by a police car, and no one told her for nearly 6 months. NBC News correspondent Blaine Alexander has the story.
The last time Betterstein Wade saw her son Dexter, the two had an argument and he left the house. But 3 days later, when her 37-year-old still hadn't come home, she knew something was wrong.
He's never disappeared like that.
He never disappeared like that. He never.
Within 2 weeks, she filed a police report. For months, her calls to police got the same response: no update.
Help me understand what that time was like for you.
That time was horrible. You would lay in your bed. You would think he might have been out there suffering. Somebody might have had him, tortured him. You just want that call to say, Mom, I'm all right. I'm all right. All you want to do is see your child.
Then, in August, nearly 6 months after Dexter went missing, an investigator finally told her Dexter had been hit and killed by an off-duty Jackson police officer while crossing a highway. It had happened less than an hour after he left home that day in March. Then, another bombshell. Dexter had already been buried in an unmarked grave behind the county jail. The only sign, a pole with the number 672.
Dexter, I tried to find you, and I couldn't. I'm sorry, baby. I'm sorry you're here.
You saw buzzards circling, and you're talking about a frightening thought. Did they even put him in a wood box? Or did they just put him in a body bag and drop him in the ground?
Jackson police have not responded to NBC's request for comment. According to the coroner's office, an investigator identified Dexter and shared contact information for his mother with police. But she says she never received a call. After NBC News broke the story last week, Jackson's mayor said this:
that at no point have we identified or did any investigation reveal that there was any police misconduct in this process and that there was any malicious intent.
Do you believe that?
No.
Attorney Ben Crump says they're asking for the DOJ to open a civil rights investigation. They also plan to exhume the body and perform a private autopsy before giving Dexter a proper burial.
And lay some flowers there, and just to know he's in a safe place.
Blaine Alexander, NBC News, Jackson, Mississippi.
Time now for our mental health check-in. We're taking a look at a study of loneliness among adults around the world.
Yeah, plus young adults are struggling with mental health at a higher rate than teens. We'll break down some of the reasons why.
Let's bring in Dr. George James for more on this. He's a licensed marriage and family therapist. Doctor, good to have you with us. So let's start with this study on loneliness. Gallup polled adults from 142 countries, found 24% of people reported feeling very or fairly lonely. We know loneliness is becoming an epidemic. So what are some of the dangers of experiencing loneliness, and what's the best things to do to combat it?
Yes, in this worldwide study, when we see that people are experiencing loneliness, it can have an impact. It can increase feelings of anxiety and depression, and people can also feel like they don't know what to do. And we see that it impacts our young adults at a high rate. If some folks are trying to figure out what to do, one of the things that people can do, they can volunteer, they can take courses, they can connect with others. You could even just say hi to people you see every day. And overall, trying to make those connections can start to help you feel more connected and not as lonely, because we don't want people to feel isolated or to continue to be in that way.
Doctor, we talk a lot about depression among kids and teens on this show because we've got a lot of studies about them, and a new one from Harvard University's Graduate School of Education found 36% of young adults are struggling with their mental health, which is twice as high as kids between the ages of 14 and 17. Why is it that young adults are suffering, do you think?
You know, during the ages of 18 to 25, so much is going on and so much is changing in your life. You're trying to figure out what is a romantic relationship, maybe. You're trying to also figure out what is a career or future. You're also trying to separate a little bit from your parents. So there's so much, it can be overwhelming, and that can lead people to feeling more anxious and depressed. You want to make sure you get support and help. You want to talk to those that you can and recognize that you're not alone in this and that there is some support out there for you.
Let's turn to mental health among mothers. A new survey from Peanut, that is an app that connects pregnant women and new moms, found 72% of them feel invisible once they have their children. 93% feel unappreciated in their new roles. Talk about the impact this has on moms, and then what can loved ones do to step in and help?
You know, for many mothers, they're probably saying, duh, like this is something that they've been feeling for so long, in terms of that the focus becomes on their child or childcare or all these other things where they feel like they are not the person that is looked at. Some of the reasons might be because of unfair labor, because of just different challenges that might be in their home or in society, or they just don't get invited out. So think about when we see mothers as a human being and being able to think about what they want and what they need as well, not just their child or childcare, and hopefully there'll be some fairness in the division of labor at home and outside as well.
Definitely. All right, Doctor, those are all pretty heavy topics. Let's try to end on something sort of positive. I know you have some tips to help cultivate hope. Walk us through how we can find positivity during a tough time.
Hope is so important to us, and we need to find ways to be able to channel that. So one of the ways is that we can, think about a goal. We can brainstorm some ideas. We can find a support team, but really seek success stories, learn what other people are doing, and most importantly, give yourself permission to have hope, to have that goal, to believe that it is possible for whatever you're looking forward to.
Some great advice. Also remember, the holidays start at midnight tonight. Basically.
Yes, they do.
According to Mariah, at
Christmas
least.
music starts.
All right. Dr. George James, as always, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
We're back now with some money news, and get your wallets ready because Apple just unveiled some new Mac products.
CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and other money news. Silvana, good morning.
Hey guys, good morning. Apple's always making us get our wallets ready, right? All right, well, the company revamps the Mac lineup, unveiling 2 new MacBook Pro models and an iMac desktop powered by its faster M3 semiconductor chips. The 14-inch MacBook Pro starts at $1,599. That's cheaper than the previous version. The 16-inch model starts at about $2,500, while the 24-inch iMac starts at around $1,300. Now, Apple has seen a boost in its Mac business, nearly doubling the market share to 11% over the past 3 years when it started using its own custom-designed chips. X is now worth less than half what Elon Musk paid for the former Twitter a year ago. Internal documents reportedly show employees were awarded stock grants in the company valued at a total of $19 billion. That's a 55% discount to Musk's purchase price of $44 billion. Until now, employees haven't fully known what the company is worth. Fidelity, which is a big investor, believes X is worth 2/3 less than when Musk bought it. And you can get a lot more than free candy today. Several fast food chains are offering Halloween-themed deals, starting with Krispy Kreme, which will give a free donut to anyone who shows up at a store wearing a costume. McDonald's recently brought back the iconic Boo Buckets, which are free with the purchase of a kid's combo meal. Chipotle is giving rewards members any entree for just $6 when they use the code burrito at checkout. I have many stops to make today, guys.
I know, really. Didn't you used to get a free burrito at Chipotle?
That's how it used to be. Yes, it used to be free.
Wow, from free to
Sign
$6.
of the times.
Quite a jump. Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Savannah.
Thank you.
You got it.
Well, the Lost Kitchen is an intimate restaurant that's tucked into the woods near a small town in Maine. It may also be one of the most difficult places in the country to get a reservation. Well, now you can get a taste of what owner and award-winning chef Erin French is bringing to the table because her cookbook, Big Heart, Little Stove, hits shelves today.
NBC News correspondent Harry Smith sat down for lunch with French, who got a sneak peek at the recipes that make her kitchen feel magical.
Fall in Freedom, Maine is as beautiful as one would imagine. The tiny hamlet, home to a restaurant where a reservation is as valued as a winning lottery ticket. Our host, Erin French, owner of the Lost Kitchen.
You made it. Thank you for coming. I made you a nice lunch today.
Did you really?
Yeah. Figure if you've come all this way, you're expecting to have something to eat.
I am.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
Let's go. Erin welcomed us with a mocktail.
A wonderful afternoon. Cheers.
And we shucked oysters.
Please, have a shot.
Definitely. Oh my gosh. Ready? Total game changer.
Yeah.
Total. Wow.
I'm excited because food is my tool for pulling out emotion. How lucky are we?
So fortunate.
That's the way you're supposed to feel when you sit at that table, you know?
What do you think it is that's inside you that is this deep desire to make people happy or feel fulfilled?
I've questioned that, and for a while, I thought that it was because I was a woman. And because as a woman, we want to give people love. That's been the feelings that I've innately just felt inside of me, wanting to care for people deeply.
I'm feeling there's something really sort of unfair about this, because I'm actually having lunch with you in a room that's normally filled with how many people?
53.
53.
Yeah.
Who've been waiting for months and years to have this chance. Should you be lucky enough to dine here, the meal, or should we say the experience, lasts 5 hours or more.
And the moment it slips away because you're having the best time and you're making people feel warm and you're making them feel like they belong here.
Potatoes first. I would say it tastes like home, but it's better. Lunch exceeded all expectations. Delicious seemed too puny a word to use under the circumstances.
The chicken's moist, flavorful.
So good. Wow. Erin's new cookbook, Big Heart, Little Stove, is filled with recipes from her restaurant and childhood. You say love can be tasted.
You can't make delicious food if you're in a bad mood.
So the key then would be, if you're in a bad mood and you're having people over, just order pizza.
That's probably a good idea.
With each recipe is a sentence or two, like an invitation to give it a try.
I wanted people to feel like they weren't alone and that they were able to make mistakes. And you will make mistakes in the kitchen, and that's part of how you become a better cook.
Is a cookbook a way for you to communicate with the people who may never get a chance to eat here?
100%. People break down and cry in here. And it still mystifies me. And that's part of this book, was like unlocking what was mystifying me and saying, what is it? Why are 60,000 people wanting to come here to eat? Why are they crying when they get here? Why are they staying 5 hours and not wanting to leave?
Because in its own way, it's almost food is therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Food saved me.
Food saved you.
Oh, yeah. It was the only place that I could find something that I could feel like I was any good at something.
Our thanks to Harry Smith for that story. Poor guy just had to try all that food.
So
God.
tough.
Well, if you're feeling hungry after that again, check out Erin's new cookbook, Big Heart. Big Heart Little Stove, which is on sale now.
Welcome back. After 20 years, the original stars of the blockbuster Broadway musical Wicked have reunited. Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel celebrated the 20th anniversary of the smash hit show last night by taking to the red carpet outside New York's famed Gershwin Theater. That's where the show is performed. They weren't alone. Other storied Wicked stars, including Shoshana Bean and Jackie Burns, were also in attendance. And the Empire State Building even shined that familiar emerald green tone overnight to commemorate the lasting success of the fourth longest running Broadway show in history. Looks like Glinda and Elphaba are pretty popular on the great.
I love that. Oh my gosh, how cool. All right, finally this hour. When you think of Halloween, you probably think of maybe a handful of tricks, but a whole lot of treats, right? From the candy that you get trick-or-treating to leftovers people bring to the office. Bound to be everywhere, all this candy over the next few days. I know this is going to be a downer, you know. We're not going to talk about all that. Instead, we're going to talk about your teeth and how to keep them healthy through all of this.
Joining us now with some tips is Dr. Sharon Huang. She is the founder of Label NYC Dentistry. Good to have you with us. So we know, obviously, candy can lead to cavities. Explain to us exactly how that works.
Well, cavities need three things to form. It needs a tooth, it needs bacteria, and needs sugar. And that's a cavity.
Got it.
So it's from sugar, pretty much exclusively?
Yes. So the sugar, so the bacteria eats the sugar, it produces the acid, and the acid eats away the tooth, eats away the enamel of the tooth, makes the tooth softer, and over time that starts to become a cavity, which is like little voids if you look at it under a microscope.
Ooh, wow. All right. So I know you've got a few tips on how you can cut down the chances of getting them. I think you've got kind of like a little acronym or something, 3 W's.
Yes. And also go trick-or-treating, but don't eat any of the candy.
Great.
3 W's. So when the box is open, eat as much as you want, but don't snack. The worst is to snack. So immediately, for example, if you have a bag of candy, you can eat it all in one setting. For the next 30 minutes, the teeth are softer. So the acid is attacking the teeth. But if you snack on that bag throughout the day, the acids can be attacking the teeth throughout the day. So if you snack on it for 8 hours, that's 8 hours of acid attack. So that will lead to a cavity. So second W is to wait. Wait 30 minutes before brushing, because immediately after, your teeth are softer. So that's the acid attack. 3 is water. You could drink water immediately after eating sugar, just don't brush.
Got it. I have a feeling a gastroenterologist might have different viewpoints on what to do with eating it all at once.
Yeah, 30 minutes go in on it.
Well, just for today.
Got it. Not all candies are created equal, right? I mean, are there some safer for your teeth?
Yes. So the best type of candy, if you had to choose one, is chocolate. And that's my personal favorite.
Same.
And the darker, the better.
Okay.
It's less likely to get stuck in the grooves of the teeth. The worst candy is sticky candy, things like caramel, taffy, like Milky Way, Snickers, because it's very sticky. It'll get into the grooves of the teeth and it'll stick on for much longer. And if you stagger candy after a meal, it's always better because there's more saliva to rinse the sugar away.
Got it. And hard candy, you're not a fan?
Hard candy, just don't bite down on it because it can crack your tooth. You can suck on a hard candy, but just try not to bite.
What about gummies? Is that one of those bad ones or not as bad as like a tacky chocolate?
Gummies are like somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
And if you could choose a gummy that has less artificial flavoring, less sugar, like an alternative rather than the heavy sugar with artificial flavor, it's better. I love gummy bears, so I can't.
Well, here's what I learned. Eat as much as you want tonight at once. Drink some water and then brush your teeth before bed.
And yes, that's very important. Brushing before bed.
You may have
that's
a stomach
everything.
Yeah, that's for a different doctor to address.
Exactly. All right, Dr. Sharon Huang, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now. Good morning. Happy Halloween. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, a relentless Israeli assault pushing deeper into Gaza as the humanitarian crisis there worsens. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu now rejecting calls from world leaders to stop the violence and allow more vital aid to enter. It all comes after Gaza was plunged into darkness with no access to electricity or communications. We're covering it all in just a moment. Coming together to mourn the loss of a true friend, what the cast of Friends is now saying about the sudden loss of beloved actor Matthew Perry. Also on this Halloween, we're talking about a different chill down your spine. Trick-or-treaters in some parts of the country now preparing for record cold, even some spells of snow. It's all thanks to a ghoulish Arctic blast that's impacting millions. We've got your full forecast coming up. And since it's Halloween, later in the hour, we're going to feature a culinary cavalcade of sweet and sour confections that'll have you screaming for more, or maybe not, because I tasted some things that I did not enjoy at all.
Well, I hope that you waited to brush your teeth and that you drank water.
I think I did. We got some good tips for you. All right, we are going to begin this hour with the war in Gaza. Israeli warplanes pounded the besieged strip overnight, while IDF troops and Hamas militants exchanged fire on the ground.
Gaza's health ministry says more than 8,000 Palestinians have been killed. But last night, Israel's prime minister dismissed calls for a ceasefire after rescuing a soldier held captive by Hamas. NBC's Richard Engel has the latest from southern Israel.
Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu says there will be no ceasefire with Hamas. And here in southern Israel, we've seen a steady flow of soldiers heading toward the Gaza Strip.
This morning, Israeli troops are pushing deeper into Gaza in a war the Israeli government describes as a fight for its survival. Last night, the families of Israeli hostages gathered in Tel Aviv to pressure the government not to forget their loved ones amid the fury to destroy Hamas. But during the protest and vigil, they received word that a hostage had been freed, the first one. Private Ori Magidish was captured from a watchtower and freed by Israeli troops in Gaza Sunday night. Israel says she's doing well medically and has met with her family. But Hamas has 240 more hostages by this morning's count, including dozens of children. And Hamas is taunting Israel with them, releasing a video of 3 Israeli captives speaking under duress. The woman on the right is Lina Turpanov. We met Netta, a friend of the Turpanov family. She's speaking for them because everyone in the family was killed or kidnapped by Hamas.
How do you watch this war and watch all those explosions and not think they might be underground under one of those bombs?
We think about it. And we saw that Lena is alive now. And this is the reason why we want her back now. Not tomorrow, not next week, not in a few days. We don't know what's going to happen in Gaza. If she's alive now, and we hope that other family members are also, we want them back.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu under fire for not taking responsibility for being unprepared for Hamas's surprise attack, says there will be no ceasefire, that Israel must retaliate for the killing of 1,400 Israelis.
This is a time for war.
Israel says it's created a safe zone for Palestinian civilians in southern Gaza, but Israel is continuing airstrikes in the south too. We filmed inside the Nasser hospital in Han Yunis right after an Israeli strike on a home. This is southern Gaza, and there's nothing safe about it. Many of the injured are children. One girl appears lifeless, but comes around. Another girl with an oxygen mask at least has her father nearby. Don't be scared. It's not bad, my love. Daddy is with you. It's okay, he tells her. Palestinian civilians are suffering and dying in a war they didn't start, and with Gaza completely sealed off, they can't escape.
As to why the Palestinians can't leave the Gaza Strip, both of its international borders to Egypt and Israel are blocked. And in terms of movement within Gaza, Israel says that Hamas is deliberately keeping people in the north where the fighting is the most intense. But our teams in Gaza saw no evidence of Hamas checkpoints or fighters blocking people from moving.
All right, Richard, thank you very much. Well, Gershon Baskin joins us now. He's the Middle East director for the International Communities Organization. He also helped free Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit, who was held hostage by Hamas for 5 years. Gershon, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Let's start with these latest developments regarding the hostage situation. So Israel, as we've said, says it freed a hostage, an IDF soldier who was being held by Hamas. This was during the ground operation in Gaza yesterday. Also, just hours before that, some more news. Hamas released video that purports to show 3 female hostages, one of them delivering a message critical of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his government, though it's unclear if this woman was speaking of her own volition or whether the marks were scripted by Hamas. But what do you make of these developments we've seen over the last 24 hours?
This is all part of the negotiations that are going on between Israel and Hamas through the mediation of Qatar and Egypt. And of course, the release of the videotape is part of the negotiation strategy to put pressure on Israeli society, to pressure the government, in the same way that the Israeli military incursion into Gaza, which is slow and measured at this time, is aimed at putting pressure on Hamas to move forward with the hostage negotiations. The voices in Israel are growing louder to the government to not enable a ceasefire or to not engage in a full-scale incursion until the hostages are brought home. 240 Israelis, women, children, infants, senior citizens, elderly people sick and wounded are being held as hostages. 240 families are affected here directly, and this is a major blow to Israeli society. If 3 weeks ago, when the Hamas terrorist attack took place across the border, there was resolve within Israel that the first thing that needed to be done was to attack Hamas and dismantle their ability to govern and threaten Israel ever again. Today, the voices are much louder to deal with the hostage situation before making the final blow to Hamas. That's why, as we understand, the negotiations today are focused on an impossible dilemma for the Israeli government is called all for all. All the hostages for all the Israeli prisoners in Israeli prison, including 559 people who have murdered Israelis and are serving life sentences.
So what do you expect is happening behind the scenes right now, especially as we see Israel press deeper into Gaza?
Well, what's happening behind the scenes that we have no idea what's happening in the negotiations conducted by Qatar and Egypt. Egypt presumably has more direct contacts with the Hamas military wing. The leadership of Hamas is located in Doha, the capital of Qatar, and the Qatari government, under extreme American pressure, is pushing the Hamas leadership to release hostages. Hamas has no intention of releasing hostages without a severe payment from Israel. And as I said, this is a huge dilemma for the Israeli government to make, releasing all these people who Israel designates as terrorists and threaten Israel's security. Where do we release them to? Do they get sent to Gaza? Most of them are from the West Bank. Are they allowed to go back to their homes where they will threaten Israelis again? So this is what I think what we're seeing, and the Israeli delay on the major operation going into Gaza is being held off until every avenue is exhausted for the hostages to be returned.
Gershon Baskin, thank you very much. Your expertise is so appreciated this morning.
An aid worker inside Gaza is giving us a rare look at the devastation inside the besieged enclave, recording the horrifying moments the Israeli bombing was at its worst. NBC News correspondent Jay Gray has that story.
There was a total electricity blackout.
Darkness and explosions in the distance were the first signs for Mohammed Shalabi that things were changing in northern Gaza.
This was all coupled with the rumors that the Israelis were about to have a very vast ground invasion. So you can imagine the level of anxiety that the people were living in.
That night, the rumors became reality.
We witnessed the most vicious attacks on the north of Gaza. They were aerial bombardments, naval fire, and border fire altogether. Every once in a while, the sky would turn into an orange color. We weren't sure whether those were targeting residential areas. We weren't sure whether those were targeting the borders. We were just hoping that this bombardment would never reach us.
But hours later, it did.
I was sitting with my kids on the sofa, and suddenly there was a huge explosion. A huge explosion. I've never heard this sound before. My child, my daughter, Misk, she started screaming and panically, hysterically crying. I rushed outside immediately to see what was happening. I opened the door and I honestly could not see in front of me and could not breathe. My neighborhood was destroyed. One simple rocket, just one rocket, that hit a neighbor's home without warning. At least 10 of my neighbors were killed, including children, and many others were injured, let alone the panic that happened in the children and the women, the fear I saw in the eyes of the people.
The life his family had known, gone.
I'm still safe. My family is all safe. But I'm not sure what's going to happen next.
Food, water, and hope in his village now running dangerously low.
There is nothing, and it becomes even emptier and emptier as the days pass.
Our thanks to Jay Gray for that report. Shalabi says the only solution to the situation is an immediate ceasefire and more humanitarian aid, echoing calls from human rights groups.
Well, staying in the region, defense officials say U.S. targets in Syria and Iraq have been attacked at least 23 times in the past 2 weeks.
The Pentagon said last week that those behind the attacks are supported by Iran and its Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. And this morning, a senior U.S. military official with direct knowledge tells NBC News there were 4 attacks on bases with U.S. troops in the Middle East just yesterday.
For more, we're joined by NBC News Pentagon correspondent Courtney Kube. Courtney, good morning. So tell us what we're learning about these attacks from U.S. officials and how it relates to the conflict in Israel.
So fortunately, most of these attacks are not successful, meaning that if they even reach the base, there haven't been any that have really damaged much infrastructure and, more importantly, have injured or killed many American personnel. Now, there were 2 last week, one at al-Assad, one in southern Syria at a garrison at Tanf, that led to several service members being injured. Most of them were minor, but there were 19 traumatic brain injuries within that. That was midweek last week, about a week ago. There haven't been any successful since then. And in fact, the majority of the ones that we're talking about here include drones or rockets or mortars that don't even really come within the base perimeter. So in some cases, they're several miles away. So that being said, while the U.S. military is saying this has nothing to do with what's going on in Israel and Gaza, the reality is none of this happens in a vacuum. And we had not seen attacks or attempts like this against U.S. bases since March. Now, the U.S., as an effort to deter against these sorts of attacks, conducted a series of airstrikes in northeastern Syria last week. So far, we have seen a slowdown in attempts on U.S. bases, but the reality is they have not stopped, Joe.
So, yeah, I guess the question is, you talked about those retaliatory strikes. Any other responses planned? What are you hearing?
So right now, the U.S. is keeping all their options open. The reality is, if these escalate, so if we see more than 1, 2, even 3 a day, or if we see a successful attack, if there is real damage to infrastructure, multiple casualties, or there is a death of an American on one of these bases, I do fully expect the U.S. military will respond again.
And Courtney, what is Iran saying about these U.S. claims?
So very little. I mean, at this point, they're not really denying it. They're not denying it. The reality is these are Iranian-backed groups that are carrying these out. When we're talking about Iraq, it's mainly Kataib Hezbollah, frankly, mainly in Syria as well. The big question that we've been asking is, how much did Iran know or even direct some of these militia groups to restart these attacks and then maybe even accelerate them? And we don't have direct links, but I will say senior defense officials, when you ask about them, about these sorts of attacks, they say they are calling on Iran to direct these groups to stop them, Savannah.
All right, Courtney Kube, thank you so much.
Back in the U.S., we are seeing an alarming increase in anti-Semitic and Islamophobic incidents on college campuses since the start of the Israel-Hamas war. Now the Biden administration is rolling out a plan designed to try and combat that. NBC News senior national correspondent Stephanie Goss joins us with more on that. Stephanie, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. You know, college campuses are where the issues of the day are supposed to be debated, including here at Columbia. But in the last 3 weeks, students, faculty, and staff say the debate over the war between Israel and Hamas has been drowned out by hateful speech, threats, and even violence.
On college campuses nationwide, Jewish and Muslim students worry the war overseas is fueling hate here at home.
I do not feel safe. It's not just me. It's most of the Jews on our college campus.
Earlier this month at Columbia University, an Israeli student was allegedly assaulted while posting images of Israeli hostages. A suspect has been charged with a hate crime. These Jewish students say it's just one of many anti-Semitic incidents on campus, and they're calling on school leaders to do more to protect them.
Have you felt a change in tone on campus since the war began?
Absolutely. People are being spit on. We're seeing swastikas.
Muslim students tell us they're worried too. The group Columbia Students for Justice in Palestine said they had safety concerns about doing an interview, adding Muslim students have had hijabs ripped off. Students wearing keffiyehs are jeered at, photographed, and followed. On Monday, the Biden administration unveiled new steps to combat anti-Semitism and Islamophobia on campuses, including improving coordination between law enforcement agencies and making it easier to file a discrimination complaint.
President Biden has been clear. We can't stand by and stand silent in the face of hate.
The kind of hate that Cornell University says it is facing after anti-Semitic messages threatening violence were posted online. Campus police now protecting the Center for Jewish Living, but students are rattled.
Most of us aren't able to focus on our studies.
And it's not just students. The conflict on campuses affecting faculty and staff, too. 70-year-old Erwin Chemerinsky is the dean of UC Berkeley Law School.
I've certainly seen anti-Semitic incidents through my life, but I've never seen anything like the last 3 weeks on my campus.
He supports freedom of speech, however hateful, but says the key is how schools respond.
We've got to speak out against hate when it occurs.
Here at Columbia University, the leadership says they've increased security, but they're also calling on students to step forward and report these hate incidents, that they can't respond to them adequately if they don't know they're going on. Savannah.
Oh, Stephanie, thank you so much. Well, now let's switch gears and get to some Halloween news. The weather for today's festivities is said to be frightfully cold from coast to coast. This morning, millions of Americans are under frost and freeze alerts, with some areas experiencing temperatures 30 degrees below normal, making conditions for trick-or-treating tonight chillingly cold. NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa joins us now from Wilmette, Illinois, with more on this cold Halloween. Maggie, good morning. How are the temperatures where you are? I see you're bundled up. We hear the Windy City is also bracing for a blast of snow even.
Savannah, it's terrible. I'm going to be real with you. I thought this was months away, and yet here we are on Halloween. The proof is in the lawn decorations. These people clearly went all out. This one talks, making for extra fun. But yeah, this is a shockingly early, frigid forecast. We're talking about possibly the first snowfall of the season, about an inch at the most here in Chicago. So like a light dusting, but it could be among the top 5 coldest Halloweens on record here in the Windy City. It's about 30 degrees, so just below freezing right now in Wilmette. We're in a suburb here. You can just see the breadth of the decorations behind me. And yeah, you said some cities close to 30 degrees below average. This is a huge Arctic blast affecting more than 100 million Americans coast to coast. And it's really just forcing everybody to tailor a lot of their Halloween plans, which, as you know, is so heartbreaking if you're a kid having to cover up that costume that you worked so hard on, Savannah. But it's just good to have the information, if nothing else.
Yeah, that's true. I'm very impressed by those decorations behind you. All right, so Maggie, if people do want to go out, they are going to be trick-or-treating anyway. They want to show off costumes if they can. What do people need to keep in mind to stay warm?
I know. It wouldn't be a weather segment without props, right? So we have some right here. You can take out some hot hands, put those in your mittens, possibly your boots. Also a thermos with some hot cocoa, hot cider, whatever you want to put in here, parents, is absolutely fine to help keep warm. And then also we have, I think, a list of the most popular costumes this year from the National Retail Federation. You'll notice a lot of them, be it superheroes, ghouls, goblins, potentially princesses. They can lend themselves to under-costume layering, so you prefer preserve the aesthetic appeal of the costume that you worked so hard on. Princesses wear capes. Maybe think of something like that. We know that, Barbie had every job on the planet, so there's a lot of room for mixing and matching there as well. And then I'm told that, orange hats are all the rage this year. So if you want to go this route, this is an option too, especially if you're going as a reporter who, again, thought snow live shots were a long ways down the road, and you have since found out otherwise.
There you go. You've just given everyone a DIY costume idea. Be Maggie Vespa outside of that house. Okay, also your Barbie comment really cracked me up. I'm like wheezing. Okay, Maggie, thank you. Stay warm. Get inside. Well, from California and Connecticut, temperatures are dropping. Angie Lastman's going to tell us more about what we can expect when you head out to trick-or-treat. Hey, Angie.
Hey there, Savannah. Yeah, Maggie's exactly right. Some chilly conditions and even some snowy conditions across parts of the Great Lakes. We're really going to see that lake effect snow kind of enhance the western portions of Michigan to pick up on some good amount of snow here when it's all said and done. But just the snow flurries that we're dealing with from Green Bay to Minneapolis down to La Crosse, Milwaukee in on that, and Chicago eventually going to see some of that as well. Nothing that's going to say cancel school or anything like that, but it's more just kind of a nuisance, especially on a day when a lot of folks want to be outdoors. Here's the deal through the rest of the evening and into tomorrow. We'll see that kind of system work its way to the east. Some higher elevations across the Northeast could pick up on some maybe snow showers, but otherwise most of the heavy rain is going to stay offshore. That's good for folks as we get into November. Speaking of the snowy conditions, we've also got chilly conditions. 115 million people are waking up under advisories, alerts, frost, freeze, warnings, watches, you name it, we've got it out there. It goes from Washington, D.C. down to Wilmington, over to Jackson. You can see parts of the Southwest included in this as well, with temperatures right now sitting into the 30s in a lot of spots, 20s for some, and feeling like the teens in a couple of locations as well. We're looking at Dodge City, Kansas City, Minneapolis, feeling like the teens with those elevated winds expected through the day today. You can see as we get into the afternoon hours for our day today, we're going to end up in the mid-50s for Dallas. Charlotte hits 53, 41 in Detroit. So unfortunately, I'm so sorry. This does mean that jackets are going to be needed, or the underlayering, as Maggie said. Some snowy spells, though, are in the forecast for trick-or-treating across the Great Lakes. We've got scary cold, of course. I told you about that. The frightening lightning expected across parts of the Sunshine State. But look at this. Skull Valley, Arizona, 54. Clear skies, no problems there. Just maybe, some hot cocoa along the way. Devil's Elbow, California, at 66 degrees. Savannah.
I see what you're doing here.
And
I have just now caught on.
Thank you. It took only 4 cities. Graves and New York.
I think that was only the second.
It's up in the upper 40s. Scary.
You're not very good at delivering this scary. Listen to you.
Dangerfield, Texas. I sound like an announcer, sports announcer.
Oh my God, I love
gotta
it.
work on that.
Okay, that's cute. Love the graphics, as always. Angie, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We are back in Hollywood, and fans around the world are honoring Friends star Matthew Perry after his sudden death over the weekend. And now, for the first time, his former castmates are speaking out. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Malas, who I did not call to wear this outfit, though we are pretty much identically matching. She's here with more on the tributes. Hi, Chloe. Good morning.
I know. It's like, who's who this morning? Happy Halloween.
Yes.
I'm still reeling from the shock of Matthew Perry's sudden passing. The cast of Friends is speaking out this morning for the very first time, saying that they are utterly devastated by his loss.
The cast of Friends coming together again to grieve the sudden loss of their beloved Matthew Perry and issue a joint statement. We were more than just castmates. We are a family. Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, Matt LeBlanc, and David Schwimmer writing, "There is so much to say, but right now we're going to take a moment to grieve and process this unfathomable loss." The 54-year-old actor was found unresponsive in a hot tub Saturday afternoon at his Pacific Palisades home. Sources familiar telling NBC News that Perry's assistant had left to run an errand and returned to find Perry unresponsive and called 911. The Los Angeles Fire Department said that firefighters removed Perry from the hot tub, but that he was already dead when they arrived.
I'm not great at the advice. Can I interest you in a sarcastic comment?
While he will always be remembered for his signature role as Chandler Bing on Friends,
someone at work ate my sandwich.
Well, what did the police say?
Perry also starred in movies like The Whole Nine Yards, 17 Again, and Fools Rush In, which he once called his best film work. His co-star Salma Hayek posting, "I will continue to cherish your silliness, your perseverance, and your lovely heart." Behind that trademark wit and charming smile, there was darkness. In his 2022 memoir, Perry opened up about his decades-long battle with drugs and alcohol. But more recently, the sport of pickleball had become an outlet during his recovery journey, according to his friend and former coach.
And he brought people to the court that had struggles, similar struggles to his own.
Just hours before his death, the star had been playing with mutual friends at a nearby country club. Broken-hearted fans have been laying flowers outside his LA home. And last night, pop singer Charlie Puth leading his audience in an emotional version of the Friends theme song.
I'll be there for you when the rain starts to fall. I'll be there for you.
There have been no reports indicating foul play, but the cause of death is being investigated by the LAPD and the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office. Officials say that they will await toxicology results, which could take about 3 to 4 months before we learn that cause of death and what has happened. But obviously very poignant words from the cast of Friends.
Definitely.
Just such a sad, sad situation.
Oh, and what a performance with Charlie Puth to be in that audience. Just so emotional. All right, Chloe, thank you so much. Let's get you some international news now. Starting in Mexico, where the death toll from Hurricane Otis keeps climbing. NBC News foreign correspondent Claudio Lubanga has the details on that, as well as other international headlines. Hey, Claudio, good morning.
Good morning. That's right. Mexican authorities are saying that so far nearly 100 people have either died or are still missing after Hurricane Otis battered Acapulco last week. Now, last Wednesday, the Category 5 storm hit the Mexican resort city with winds of up to 165 miles per hour, destroying buildings, flooding roads, and tearing roofs from homes. Looting broke out as the city when over 1 million people were left without access to food and water. As locals help authorities search for the missing, 17,000 members of the armed forces have been deployed to maintain order and distribute food and supplies. According to estimates, the cost of damage from the hurricane could climb to $15 billion. Let's now go to Japan, where the U.S. military has started to bulk buy the country's seafood following China's import ban. China stopped importing fish from Japan after the release of treated water from the Fukushima nuclear plant, despite reassurances it was safe for the environment. The U.S. ambassador to Japan, Rahm Emanuel, said the decision by the U.S. military will help counter China's ban and that the fish will be used to feed military personnel and be sold in shops and restaurants on military bases in Japan. On Monday, China's foreign ministry spokesperson reacted to the news by saying, quote, "The responsibility of diplomats is to promote friendship between countries rather than smearing other countries and stirring up trouble." And let's end this tour of the world in Paris, where legend Lionel Messi was awarded once again the Ballon d'Or, assigned every year to the best soccer player in the world for a record 8th time. The Argentinian soccer legend, who now plays for Inter Miami, becomes the first MLS-based player to claim the prize. But the decision was mostly based on his other achievements the past year, including winning the World Cup and the Copa America with his home nation, Argentina. Upon receiving the prize, he dedicated it also to another soccer legend, Diego Armando Maradona, the late Diego Armando Maradona, whose birthday was yesterday when he received the prize. So congratulations to Lionel and happy birthday to Dieguito.
Yes,
to you.
Exactly. Claudia, thank you so much. We are back now with the latest on the legal troubles surrounding former President Trump. A federal judge over the weekend reimposed a gag order on Trump in the federal election interference case, but the ruling did not stop Trump from lashing out on social media about his former Attorney General Bill Barr. NBC News legal analyst Danny Sapolis is here to break this down for us.
I'm dressed as Chloe Mellis.
He just couldn't stand that Chloe and I were matching and had to get in. So he borrowed hers, which is why he looks like he's being tortured.
Yes, it's ready to burst, and particularly at the biceps area. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh,
yes.
that's exactly
Absolutely,
right. Yeah, and
so,
like the little, okay.
I got very jealous of the photo op, and I want one with you.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Happy Halloween.
Yes, that's your costume. All right, explain to us what prompted this gag order in the first
Can you take me seriously?
Reimposed. I can. I'm interested to hear how serious you can deliver this.
The judge, no surprise here. The Trump team asked the judge, hey, can you put your own decision on pause while we appeal it? And you're essentially saying to the judge, hey, we're likely to beat your case on appeal, so do you mind hitting the pause button on it? And not surprisingly, Judge Chutkan said, no thanks. I think my decision was just fine the way it is. So really, whenever a stay motion is denied, all that really means is that there isn't going to be a pause button. The case will move forward temporarily until it's resolved on the merits.
So as I mentioned, this didn't appear to stop the former president from criticizing Bill Barr, using adjectives like weak, among some other ones. Barr is also part of the election subversion case. Did that violate the gag order? And if so, now what?
Well, that's the problem with these gag orders, is how do you know whether or not Donald Trump is violating the gag order? Because you can't possibly anticipate every set of words that Donald Trump will say. And what I think is really happening here is Trump is essentially daring these judges to hold him in contempt. Sure, they'll fine him, what he's been fined $15,000 in the last week, but he doesn't care about that. In a sense, I wonder if he's daring these judges to actually incarcerate him, which is almost a procedural administrative impossibility, because this is somebody who has to be flanked at all times by Secret Service members. It wouldn't surprise me if it's something that is part of his end game to see if these judges will actually do it and to push the limits right up until the edge.
Okay, do you want to switch gears here and talk about another Trump case? Because we could see some big stuff happen in the next week or so.
I'm losing blood flow in my arm, so we really need to wrap this up.
All you. So this New York $250 million lawsuit from the state attorney general's office. But here's some information. His sons, Don Jr., Eric, set to take the stand this week. Trump himself, as well as his daughter, Ivanka, scheduled to testify next week. What can we expect to hear from them? And how big of a deal is it that all four of them are scheduled to be on the stand?
You know, look, after the Michael Cohen testimony last week, I wonder if the attorney general hasn't called some of these witnesses for splash value, for headline value, because Michael Cohen, at least in this New York attorney general's civil fraud case, really didn't have that much substantive information to add. He's a huge witness in the New York State criminal case, but in this case, not so much. The kids of Donald Trump may have some information about the inside workings of the company, whether or not he inflated values or deflated them when it suited him. But this is mostly a documents case. I think this is just a case of celebrity witness calling, not so much necessary to prove the government's case. They have everything they need in the documents.
Got it. Danny Spells, we've been doing some Halloween safety segments this morning, like about your teeth and safe in the cold and stuff. We need to do one about wearing blazers that are too small.
Yes, it's very important. Don't wear unsafe costumes. This is an unsafe costume, my Chloe Melas costume. I should have ordered one size or 10 sizes larger, because this one, I hope I haven't ruined it for her.
Danny, thank you very much for all of it. All right, former Olympic gold medalist Mary Lou Retton is in recovery after spending nearly 3 weeks battling a severe case of pneumonia. The superstar athlete is now speaking out for the first time since falling ill. NBC News contributing correspondent Kaylee Hartung has the details.
Hey, good morning, guys. We still don't have many details on the specific health challenges she's faced, but the beloved gymnast says she's now home recovering, posting on her own behalf that she's feeling positive and grateful for all the support.
After spending more than 2 weeks in the ICU fighting a rare, life-threatening form of pneumonia, Olympic hero Mary Lou Retton is speaking out for the first time. Writing on social media, "I'm beyond blessed to have the opportunity to make this statement." The 4'9" gymnastics dynamo, who's now at home recovering, posted on Instagram Monday, "I'm with family, continuing to slowly recover and staying very positive, as I know this recovery is a long and slow process." Earlier this month, her daughter McKenna Kelly first revealing her mother Mary Lou was fighting for her life and not able to breathe on her own. Less than 2 weeks ago, Retton's eldest daughter Shayla sharing news of possible complications.
And yesterday we had a pretty scary setback. She is still in ICU, and we're just working through some things.
Her family asking the public for donations, explaining that Retton is not insured. Their call was answered, more than 8,000 donors contributing nearly $500,000, far surpassing the family's $50,000 goal. Fans continuing to wish her well online. And Mary Lou responding, "I am overwhelmed with all the love and support from the world as I fight. I am forever grateful to you all."
Mary Lou herself has posted, "I know this recovery is a long and slow process." What could that potentially look like?
Anytime you've been in the ICU with your lungs battling some type of infection or inflammatory disease, it needs time to heal that scar tissue. And as her lungs recover, she's going to start to feel like herself again.
It's been nearly 4 decades since Mary Lou Retton won gold at the 1984 Olympics, becoming America's sweetheart at just 16 years old.
It's always been a lifetime dream for anyone, I think, any athlete, to be on the Olympic team.
Now at 55, Retton is asking for privacy, but says she hopes her story can help others who may face the same battle.
And guys, we may learn more about Retton's condition soon. In her post, she also promised when the time is right, she will share more information about her health issues. For now, though, it's certainly good to hear she's on the mend. Guys.
Oh, it is. Kaylee Hartung, thank you so much. Welcome back. Employees at some of the largest drug chain stores, places like CVS, Walgreens, they launched a new series of walkouts yesterday. It's a 3-day walkout being called Pharmageddon by workers, so it's set to go until tomorrow. The move has even received support from the American Pharmacists Association, who wrote in a statement saying they stand, quote, with every pharmacist who participated in the walkout. Let's bring in NBC News correspondent Stephen Romo, who's been following this for us. Hi, Stephen. Good morning. So big news here. So tell us, why are they walking out? What are the conditions that they're under? But then also, since they're not part of a union, what type of repercussions could they face for a walkout?
Yeah, that's made it more complicated since they are not part of a union. But all the pharmacists we've talked to, they really emphasize just how much they're working. They say this is not about money. It is about workload. They say they're being asked to do so much more. Vaccinations have been a big part of it ever since. It was actually before the pandemic. But since COVID, it has just been so much focused on the actual vaccination instead of they want to spend more time on each and individual prescription they have to fill. They say they're not getting enough time to actually do that. They're also, of course, fielding phone calls. And the repercussion part of this, they aren't protected by a union. So a lot of pharmacists that we've talked to are either afraid to give their first and last names in this situation because they don't know exactly what's going to happen. Others, though, they are giving their names. They're saying this is a big enough issue that they do want their names out there. And they do emphasize that it is about patient safety and not about pay.
You know, even anecdotally, I think you can feel it sometimes when you go to a pharmacy, how stressed they seem, how long it can take to get something filled. I totally understand. Have we heard from any of the pharmacies regarding the strike, or any of them responding to it? I know workers at both CVS and Walgreens have staged separate walkouts, which actually led to the stores being closed. Are we hearing anything on that front?
Yeah, mostly these walkouts are affecting the big pharmacies, CVS, Walgreens, and Rite Aid. We have heard from each of the three of them, all saying along the same lines that they are hearing their pharmacists and their pharma technicians, and they are working to try to make things more efficient, to utilize the staff that they have while recruiting more staff as well to try to balance things out. But what the workers actually want are firm answers and policy changes in writing, and not just statements released to the media about how they're working toward it. They'd like some solid answers about how to reduce this workload and keep their stores open. We have heard about some pharmacies having to close because of these staffing issues, and that could be something that affects patients.
So, Stephen, what does this mean for customers? If you've got a medication that you need, it's at the counter. Some cases, of course, it might be medicine that's life-saving. What does this mean for a customer?
Yeah, well, this strike will continue until tomorrow with people walking out. That could mean the closures of some pharmacies. So they are asking patients, advising them, go ahead and call ahead before you go in just to make sure. But ultimately, overall, this issue with the industry as a whole has created a lot of concerns. You mentioned the wait times. We've talked to customers who say they experience a long wait at many of these places, or getting text messages that their prescription's ready only to show up and the prescription's actually not ready. So a lot of frustration both on behalf of pharmacy workers and customers about the situation at pharmacies, asking for some change here. So.
All right, Stephen Romo, important stuff. Thank you so much. Well, let's get you some financial headlines. Major automaker Stellantis said this ongoing UAW strike is costing the industry billions. CNBC's Silvana Henao has more on that and other money news. Hey, Silvana, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. Yes, so Stellantis, that's the parent company of Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep, says the 6-week UAW strike cost him more than $3 billion in revenue. The world's third largest automaker says the strike will impact profit by less than $800 million, which is actually the smallest amount of the big three. Now, the strike is ending this week after the union reached tentative contract deals with Stellantis, Ford, and General Motors. Oil prices are edging up today, recovering some of yesterday's sharp losses when crude fell more than 3%. Weaker than expected data on China's manufacturing and services sectors are raising worries about slowing fuel demand from the world's second largest consumer of oil. That's offsetting concerns about an escalation of the Israel-Hamas war to other parts of the Middle East. Kim Kardashian is teaming up with the NBA, her Skims shapewear brand, striking a multi-year deal to become the official underwear of the league, as well as the WNBA and USA Basketball. Skims, which was recently valued at $4 billion, released its first men's collection last week. The brand will now get more media exposure on the NBA's various platforms and on-court virtual ads during NBA nationally televised games. Savannah.
All right. It's pretty impressive. Savannah, thank you so much. Welcome back.
Notice anything?
You're in like a full change. Well, as many of you prepare to dress up for Halloween, we wanted to show you some of our costumes from this year at Team Morning News.
I decided to put mine on again. Yeah. I was transformed into Ken on today's show on Saturday alongside our meteorologist Angie as Barbie. Hi, Barbie.
You guys look. Well, this was my 4th annual, actually, Halloween murder mystery party on Saturday night. I was not the murderer, but I was the fairy godmother. It was like a fairy tale themed Once Upon a Murder, and I was the fairy godmother. So there's those creepy ear things.
And you got the wings on now. I love it. And finally, here is our Morning News Now team. Just before we went on the air today, this is how they're dressed right now. You can spot another Barbie, newscaster Barbie.
Newscaster Barbie, Anna, it's so cute. Oh my God, here they are now in our control room. Tina Turner.
The director.
Oh my God. Can we do it again?
Director for money.
All right, everybody have fun dressing up later. Okay, this is fun. Well, while many kids across the country will go trick-or-treating later today, other people are actually hitting the road to look for a little Halloween adventure. A number of holiday hotspots are seeing big jumps in tourism for some of that spooky fun.
NBC News correspondent Emily Aketa joins us now from Salem, Massachusetts, which is incredibly popular this time of year. Emily, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween to you guys. Salem on Halloween is truly a bucket list item, with many people gathering for historic sites like this that date back to the 1600s. I've talked to people in Boston, from Ohio, all the way from Venezuela, in what has been a record month for tourism here in the area. And Salem's not alone. More Americans than ever are leaning into the spooky spirit, so it's only right I get in on the fun, too.
This October 31st, witches are swarming the streets of Salem again.
I just love the vibe of it.
There's no shortage of ghost schools and everything in between either. The city of Salem, Massachusetts, known for its dark history of witch trials centuries ago, has transformed into a history lovers must-see and one of the Halloween destinations in America, with 100,000 plus visitors on a single day and more than 1 million this month.
For a city of 44,000 people, it's a lot. It's over 35% more than we had in 2019.
A boom for businesses like Black Cat Tours, which just expanded to open a store.
It's just wonderful to see that on people's faces, that moment of, I don't have to be a grown-up anymore. I can be a kid here.
Dazzle me, my darling. Also home to parts of big screen Halloween hit Hocus Pocus, the city proudly laying claim to the haunted season. But it's not the only spot recording a spike in Halloween tourism. Cities like New Orleans and Las Vegas also seeing a surge compared to a typical fall weekend.
Gen Z and millennial prioritize spending on travel, and not just travel for those big summer vacations or long weekends, but celebrations of more micro holidays like Halloween.
Total Halloween spending is expected to reach monster levels, $12.2 billion, exceeding last year's record of $10.6 billion. Popular Halloween attractions like Universal Studios' Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando have been sold out for over a month, according to amusement park app The Touring Plans. The events attract 30,000 to 35,000 people per night. Social media also driving tourism to Halloween hotspots. Feeds filled with colorful frights in the best decorated neighborhoods, including New York's Sleepy Hollow, home of the Headless Horseman.
You're seeing a lot of tourists, you're seeing a lot of decorations, and you're seeing a lot of traffic.
Happy Halloween!
Back in Salem, officials urging visitors to use public transportation to ease traffic, so there's room for everyone to relish in the spooky fun.
We'd like to say, if you're going to come to Salem, come by train, come by ferry, come by bike, come by broom. Don't come by car.
And if you don't have a beautiful fall day like this to celebrate Halloween, there's always the option to watch a good old scary movie, whether it be from the comfort of your couch or you head to the big screen. I hear Five Nights at Freddy's had a big weekend at the box office. But guys, the question of the hour, am I a carrot? Am I a gnome, a candy corn, a witch? You know, I'm not really sure.
But that's it. It can be whatever you want and whatever everyone thinks you are. It'll work.
If you don't know, we don't know. But it's cute. Emily, thank you very much.
So when it comes to trick-or-treating, you might expect candy bars, Skittles, Smarties, that occasional neighbor who gives you an apple. But these days, candy has many dimensions. So I went on a taste test to check out some surprising sweets.
For many, Halloween is like a saccharine scavenger hunt.
Sadly, as you can see, my trick-or-treat bucket is empty right now, but we are going to fix that starting at Dylan's Candy Bar.
Here, they're selling the Dylan Dares You Tackle Box, capitalizing on the food challenge trend.
I feel like I'm gonna die.
I know. With their creepy collection of confections.
What are some of the things that people might be a little, what is that?
Everything? Dylan Lawrence says it's like a game. Just spin the wheel. Small one on the package, or the big one in the store.
Ah, it's one of the best and grossest.
Yeah, I got chicken feet gummies.
What does that taste? It's not horrible.
It's not horrible.
It's not horrible.
But that's
this is not bad.
But Dylan would not let me get away that easily, so I sampled a sour candy called Toxic Waste.
Yes, I think my tongue wants to leave my mouth now.
A hard candy that tastes like sour cream and onion.
You like it? Make you like it.
No, I don't. I do not like this one.
And this salty starfish made of black licorice. It's the candy equivalent of a horror movie.
This brings you joy, doesn't it?
I love it.
Okay, we've stocked up on some daring sweets. Let's see what other trendy candy we can find inside its sugar.
Here you can eat like an astronaut with candy that's freeze-dried. These are peach rings that are clearly crunchy, not gummy.
You can really taste the peach. It's like a super strong peach flavor.
They also freeze-dried Skittles, Starburst, and gummy worms.
That is super flavorful, too. That's like really fruity. What does this do to the flavors?
You take the moisture out of it, it really makes the flavors more intensified.
These days, the freeze-dried candy trend is especially popular on social media.
Nerd gummies, the crunch.
Perhaps such goodies will make it into trick-or-treat buckets, with candy spending expected to reach $3.6 billion this Halloween, up from $3.1 billion last year. I still have room in my bucket and some unfinished business, which takes me to Bon Bon, the man in the top hat known as Mr. Licorice.
I have to admit, I had a not-so-positive black licorice experience earlier today. What do you think when you hear that? I see it as a challenge. It's something I hear daily.
In Sweden, black licorice is huge. Well, in America, it's more divisive. Leo Schultz wants to change that by easing me in with gateway licorice that's heavy on chocolate.
Very good. I like the chocolate. And I can taste a little bit of licorice, right? Little hint.
Gradually, I build up.
I taste the salty, but it's not bothering me.
To a black Swedish fish.
I taste the salt. I do taste that black licorice, which isn't my favorite, but it's not like bothering me. I don't want to spit it out. My God, I'm another convert.
I learned mixing black licorice with other sweets makes it less scary, ensuring your treat is no trick.
As you can hear, I'm a convert, so I've changed my costume. I am now Mr. Licorice for Halloween.
From Candy Ken.
Exactly. The key is a little salty, a little sweet. That's the key. So.
There you go. I would have to try it because I don't like it either. So interesting.
Gateway licorice.
Give it a shot.
That does it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Happy Halloween. The news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.